From the newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle, this is the Brazos Sports Prepscast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Brazos Sports Prepscast. I'm Alex Miller from the Eagle. Hey, it's here. It's the Texas High School Football Playoffs, y'all. There's 18 Brazos Valley teams in the postseason brackets, from 5A all the way down to 6-man and even in the private school ranks. This is a supersized episode. As you can tell, we have literally the camera as far back as we can to get everybody in here. I'm not smart enough to hook up 5 microphones, so we're going to be sharing them. But hey, we got Jake Weiss, Andrew Tenio, of course, from the Eagle. What's up, guys?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very, very well.
You introduced us first and not our guest?
Well, hey, our guest...
Hospitality.
I'm so sorry. Hey, and we got Ben Peck from KAGS. What's up, Ben?
Not too much. How you doing?
And Morgan Weaver from KBTX.
Hello, Alex.
It's so good to see you, Morgan. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover. We got probably a lot of opinions, different teams. So let's just get to it. All right, at this point, no games have been played. It's a new season. Give me the team in the Brazos Valley you've got the most confidence in to make a deep run. Morgan, I think I might have an idea who you're going with.
I think I'm going to surprise you, actually.
Oh.
I'm saying College Station, the Cougars. I've recency bias maybe just because I was just there this past week, but I think undefeated in district play. They have all the momentum in the world. They had played at an elite level against Consol, which we saw. So I don't know. I'm going with the Cougs.
Okay, Ben?
I don't hate that pick. I probably feel better about College Station heading into this postseason than I did last year. I was thinking I was going to be peer pressured into making the pick I'm about to next to Morgan Weaver. I think it's still got to be Franklin. I mean, I was at the Lorena game start to finish. I know they came up short, but they had many chances to close that game out, and we could be sitting at, what would it be, 42 straight wins at this point or something like that?
It would be a lot.
So, listen, they still got some dudes. I think, I don't know if Coach Fan would ever admit it. I don't know if it's a blessing in disguise in terms of getting their guys refocused, re-energized, and you've got still a one-loss Franklin team on a mission with something to prove. That just seems like a dangerous recipe.
Oh, I'm going to take a moment real quick. Well, actually, let's finish here, and then I want to come back to that real quick and do a little spiel on Franklin. Excuse me.
All
Jake?
right, so in the spirit of not copying anyone else, because I was thinking College Station. By the time we got to me, I was thinking, well, College Station and Franklin probably going to be off the board. Yeah. And I was right. So I'm going Bremond.
All right.
I think, that district was tough. I know it was 3 teams finished 4-1. Bremond came up short against Chilton. It was, 2-point conversion day?
I was at that game down to the wire. They lost their quarterback and their running back, and it still came down to a 2-point conversion to go to overtime.
You called it like a log jam, Alex, that district, 2 weeks ago, a week ago?
Yeah.
Whenever it was. Point is, I think it's more of a buzzsaw because, everybody just seems, all 4 teams for me, I'm just, real excited, but I think Bremond's kind of the top dog there. I think kind of that whole district is going to have some success, but I like Bremond.
Hey, Iola might give Falls City a hard time this week, Jake.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, stay tuned, everybody.
All right, Andrew.
I think just shows the Brazos Valley how deep it is this year because we're going 4 for 4 in unique teams. I'm going to go down to the TAPS level. We're going St. Joseph, the St. Joseph Eagles. I think they avoid Prosper Prestonwood until the finals. I think they got Bulverde to start out. Shouldn't be no problem. They got Fredericksburg Heritage, which could give them a run, but I don't see it. I'm going with the Eagles. So.
I'm going to copy Morgan. I'm going with College Station. It's hard to pick against the team that's been to the state championship game 2 years in a row. This Cougars team, unlike last year, they have their identity, right? They know who they are. They have established playmakers. It's going to be a tough road. That region is loaded. There's 5 or 6 teams that could win the region, I think. But when it comes down to it, I think College Station, in my opinion, has what it takes to get back there. And, hey, that one loss that they have this season, week 1 against Lovejoy, that's aged pretty well. Lovejoy beat the number 1 team in 5A Division II by 3 touchdowns at their place last week. So, College Station, battle-tested team. They got a good squad. And I got confidence in the Cougs. So There you go. All right. Who? Okay.
What-
we're
what?
We're coming back.
I was gonna say, what do you want to say about
We're coming
Franklin?
back. Okay. I think there's a little reluctance on Franklin, whereas at the beginning of the season, I think we all across the board probably would have had the Lions as the team to beat. Obviously, they were beaten. Columbus has really emerged as the team to beat in 3A Division 1. Morgan, you're our resident Franklin beat reporter. What have you seen from the Lions this year that's maybe a little different? And what gives you confidence that maybe they've got what it takes to make it happen when push comes to shove?
The Lions are my sleeper because I think everybody is sleeping on the Lions so far. Just because of the one loss, I think without the loss, I think we might be talking about them a little differently. But I think Tyler told me yesterday nobody from Dave Campbell's has them making it out of the region. And I'm like, this is back-to-back defending state champs, the Franklin Lions. And I think just because they're not used to losing, that they got that loss, I think that's good for them, honestly. I think that's going to turn the page. They went to work. They've won their last 2 games. I think the biggest difference that I've seen from last year to this year is they're finding new ways to score because they can't just rely on Bryson Washington anymore. And I think Jaden Jackson has stepped up into that role. But they're finding new ways. I think Court had 3 passing touchdowns last week. So I don't know.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Timeout. Court Lowry had 3
passing touchdowns last week.
That's got to be a school record.
3 out of their 7 touchdowns came through passing.
All right.
So they're finding new ways to score. Thank you for the mic back. They're finding new ways to score. I think their defense is still pretty strong. So I think they got a shot to make it back.
You know, I think Franklin likes being in this position because, okay, think about the first time they won state, right? They were coming off the state championship loss. They were kind of on this revenge tour. They had a chip on their shoulder. They felt like they were being a little doubted. They like being in that underdog to prove something. And I think people think that, Franklin's flawed. Well, they're still pretty darn good. It's not going to be necessarily easy for them to get there. But I also think there's something to be said of they don't have to play Columbus until a region final.
Yeah.
That would go a long way. Not to mention, it looks like Columbus is probably going to have to play Lorena in round 3 potentially if chalk holds. I'm not convinced that Columbus gets out of that unscathed necessarily. That's going to be a tough game. I think if Franklin gets another crack at Lorena,
I think they'll win.
they're going to want some vengeance. But also, I think Lorena is peaking at the right time. Getting Jaden Porter back is a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
So, all right, that was a good segue into our sleeper pick. Ben, who's your sleeper pick?
I'm trying to think of how creative I want to get and how much I want to say for y'all. I'll say I'll go with Madisonville for a D2. Only 2 losses, I believe, Columbus and then Connolly, and that game went down to the wire. Strange circumstances. The game canceled. Have to drive back to Waco the next day on a Saturday afternoon, and you only come up short a walk-off touchdown in the last second. So, you know, another team that's got some playmakers and I think a somewhat navigable road through the playoffs. We'll see what they can do. We saw what they did last year. Big upset over LaGrange that I wasn't expecting. So,
And then Belleville.
Yeah, and then Belleville. So I think this team, I don't know, maybe they have a little magic.
Andrew, who's your sleeper pick?
Ben took the words right out of my mouth. I'm also going to go Madisonville. I really love their offensive talent. Their defense has come around. I think they've only given up more than 14 points twice, and that was to Columbus and Connolly, who have been great programs, obviously. So yeah, I think there's a path there. I know they've got some tough hurdles to go against in the second and third round, specifically if they get to that point. But I like the Mustangs. They're going to give some teams some trouble.
Jake?
All right, so I can kind of see your computer screen, your notes here, so I'm glad I'm not copying you, because I have 2 actually for this one.
I think I
Okay.
might have
So I'm gonna go Iola. No surprise. I told them they would come back around.
Man. He's a believer in the Bulldogs.
I am. Kind of a magical season here. 6-4. You might kind of look at that and go like, "Wow, how is that magical?" That's kind of just they're winning, sure, but haven't been to the playoffs in 3 years. First-year head coach Rex Sharp is taking over. Believe he was on staff last year as an assistant. He gets the job this year. Got him back in the playoffs. It's a small senior class. I think they only have 8 seniors. A lot of young guys, but hey, I think, like I said, that district is pretty tough. They're all kind of trial by fire. They're 2-3 in that district, but all 3 losses are to the 3 teams above them. who are all really good teams. I mean, I talked with him this week, and we talked about the Bremond game a little bit. Yeah, they got shut out, but he was like, hey, Bremond is Bremond. And I think that kind of experience, getting to go up against those teams, that helps you come playoff time. Playing good teams helps you come playoff time. Second one for this question, my other sleeper, man, I don't know if I can consider them a sleeper because they're 9-1, but Anderson Shiro.
Yep, I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
hoping someone would get
Like,
them.
Anderson Shiro, the Owls, and I kind of have them slotted as a sleeper because they've been to the playoffs before. This isn't unfamiliar, but they never got their first win. So maybe they can still kind of, I don't know who makes the rules here. I guess you asked the question, so
Hey,
it's your
show.
I'll let it slide, Jake.
I'd go with the
I'll
Owls.
let it
though.
slide.
Like, I'd go
I'll
with
let
the
it
Owls as my
slide.
sleeper. And
Okay.
Ben, I don't know if you had more to add, but
No, I totally agree with all your points. I think they've destroyed pretty much everyone they've played, with the exception of Newton, which is a great team. But and strange stuff can happen in the playoffs, as we see every year.
My sleeper, I said the team I was most confident in was College Station. My sleeper is A&M Consolidated. I think the Tigers are playing really good football right now. We've talked all year. This defense is good. We know that. But the offense, they're really starting to get the wheels turning. I think Will Hargett has really kind of just settled in. He's playing relaxed. He's playing confident. He's playing calm. Ellis Myers has been just such a reliable target. He was our player of the week. Peyton Bjork is good. That offensive line is really starting to come together. And, hey, they're running that 2-quarterback system. And if Will doesn't get that scoring drive, Tyler Polling's played pretty well. I mean, he is a reliable backup. And when you got Trey Taylor at running back, that's a pretty good skill group there. They have Wagner this week. Okay. We're going to talk about that one in a little bit. Wagner's going to be a tricky team to beat. They'll likely face Fulshire in the second round if they get through this Friday. Fulshire is going to be a really challenging team to beat. Jake, you were there last year when Fulshire beat Consol. But, man, if they get through those 2 rounds, I'm looking at that top little quadrant of that Region 3. I'd take Consol over any of those teams. And if they get another crack at College Station, man, they had the Cougars on the ropes. So, I mean, hey, watch out for the Tigers, man. Hey, Coach Schmidt, this is where he thrives, right? He has made some deep playoff runs with Prosper, who, by the way, won their district in 6A again this year. They're going to be one of the favorites up there in the DFW area. So, don't sleep on the Tigers. Lions and Tigers, man.
I love it. I totally agree. They're playing, like you said, they're playing their best right now.
Okay. I think there's a lot of big picture regions that are exciting. What's a region that really excites you guys that you're like, man, this bracket's really good?
I think for me, I don't know exactly what region it is, but the Lake Creek, Huntsville, Brenham, 5A D2. I think that's a close one. I think their district was a lot closer than people thought it was going to be. I think Randall, Brenham, and Huntsville were all tied for second at one point. So I think I know Lake Creek is really good, but I also know their quarterback is injured. So I think there's a chance for some upsets in that region. And so that one excites me.
Hey, Lake Creek's number 1 in the state right now in 5A Division 2.
Yeah, and I think to your point too, I think Huntsville played. They were missing Isaiah Collins early in the year, and they were playing some tough games. Came out on the wrong side of some results, so they're probably better than their record indicates. To your points, I'm gonna go back to 3A Division 1, Region 3. I think it's Region 3, with Lorena, Franklin, Hitchcock, Columbus. There's I think a round 1 matchup, if I'm not mistaken, is it Hitchcock against Little River Academy?
Yeah.
Little River Academy, not bad, 8-2. Franklin beat them, but they have talent. They did. But
Okay.
they've got talent to make plays and make things interesting, I guess, in a night where anything can happen. So
Gosh.
that bracket is juicy to me.
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 in Diboll and Woodville. Franklin almost lost to Woodville the first game of the season.
Franklin to the wire.
They had an interception at the goal line with 10 seconds to go to win that game. So, hey, don't sleep on District 9. So,
Again, me and Ben, just basically the same
Bang.
person at this point. I'm also going to go 3A Region 3. I think past the second round, there's no easy games. there's no easy games left for Franklin past the second round. So it's a gauntlet of a region. So
Jake?
Oh gosh, I kind of want to skip.
Skip?
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
pass.
You're
You know,
not
pass.
making the rules.
No, but I was just trying to, like, everyone else is coming at it from kind of where it could go and what it could. And my kind of just only rule was I was just thinking, like, hey, which region do we have the most teams in the Brazos Valley? And I think it's 2A. You have the thing here, Alex.
Yep.
I think it's the one with Bremond, Burton.
2A Division 2 Region 4.
Yeah, I went with that one just because, I think that has the most teams here from the Brazos Valley. So, that was my reason, everybody.
Hey, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, no. I have a hunch I know where you're going with your pick.
Well, this actually was my pick. 2A Division 2 Region 4. I mean, Chilton, Burton and Granger, that's like on our pick'em this week, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, that's hard. That's a hard pick. I'm not convinced Iola's gonna upset Falls City, but like if they did, I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, Jake. Falls City's really freaking good, and then Bremond, like I'm so impressed with Bremond. Like the job that Coach Kozowski has done with that team this year after losing Braylon Wortham. I mean, he was the star of the show last year, and they haven't skipped a beat. I mean, Coben Zan has been spectacular this season for them, and so I'm so impressed with what Coach Kozowski has done with it. I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, this guy should be a Hall of Famer one day. He's won 3 state championships, but really impressive job with Bremond. And hey, if the chips fall their way, don't sleep on the Tigers, man. But Mart is looming, and whoever survives this region, I mean, Mart is
up.
inevitable. Good luck. Good luck.
Burton could tell you all about them. I do want to give a shout out to the 5A Division 1 Region 3. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but like you said, I could see more than a handful of teams getting through that.
Well, and okay, one that I don't want to totally overlook because there's only one Brazos Valley team in it is 4A Division 2 Region 3 with Madisonville.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, we touched on this a little bit, but like District 9, like all 4 of those teams could be in the region semifinals, and I wouldn't be surprised between Silsbee, West Orange Stark, Jasper, and Hampshire Finette, especially Hampshire Finette and Silsbee. I mean, Draylon Miller, I know he's not committed to A&M anymore, but whoever he ends up playing for, they're going to get a heck of a football player.
Turns out he didn't get any worse at playing football. He's still very good.
He's still very good. And, I think Madisonville's got a really good team. And if somehow they get through Belleville and Silsbee, I mean, Coach Urbanky might be our coach of the year if we're being honest. I mean, that's some tough sledding. So, all right. What game are you guys looking forward to this week? Because there's some really good by-district matchups this week.
My game to watch, you touched on it earlier, is Consol and Wagner. I think Consol is playing really well, and I think home field advantage is going to help. But like you said earlier, Wagner is going to be a little tricky. I think they have the same record as well, so I think that'll be a good one to watch.
I'm going to touch on that one real quick because that's my game to watch. Going into last week, it was looking like Consol was going to have to play at Wagner. There was only one scenario for Consol to finish second place in District 11, and it happened because Cedar Park couldn't score a touchdown at the end of the game, and New Braunfels Canyon upset Wagner. Wagner runs that flex bone offense, which if you're Consol, I think playing Leander Glenn last week was actually like the best thing possible because now your defense, like you're used to kind of seeing, like you don't see that at 5A level very much. I mean, we go see it when we cover Franklin, but like at that level, it's all spread and fun and gun and all that jazz.
And I was there just this morning actually.
Yeah.
And they were doing for 30 minutes. They were running wing T defense for a 30-minute period. And so, like you mentioned, it was really good. They get that back-to-back weeks now.
And I just want to add, early on that game against College Station last year, Wagner gave the Cougars some trouble. Like it was. I would never say it was dicey in terms of Cougars not making it out of there, but first half I was there, it was it was tied pretty late into that first half, and they just like the thing with those wing T offenses, they shorten the game, so one big play happens and that could totally swing it. That feels like a 2-3 possession swing, given how short it is.
Well, and you look at Wagner, and you look at how their scores, like they either score a lot or they don't score at all. So that tells me that their opponents either figure out what they're doing or they don't. Like there's not a lot of middle ground. And so this comes down to can Consol's defense, which is really good, be disciplined enough to figure it out and stay at it for 4 quarters? Because Wagner's going to be a tough test. I definitely think it helps being at home, though, and not having to go 3 hours down the road in a yellow dog. So, Ben, what's your game to watch?
I'm looking at a rematch from, I can't remember which round it was. I want to say it was 3rd round. Brenham, Port Neches Groves.
Ooh,
in
great
5A
game.
Division 2. I mean, Port Neches Groves, I think you would not have guessed if you're Brenham that would be the team going all the way to the state championship games, and how close Brenham was to coming out on top with that game. You know, I feel like their offense has been not a work in progress, but they've been kind of feeling out, having to replace Rylan Wooten this year and some playmakers, but that defense, very physical, can really assert themselves, and they do have the playmakers to, you know, have explosive plays offensively, and I think revenge, of course, will be on the mind of the Cubs. I think that'll be a great one.
Well, and is that a home game for PNG?
I believe.
I mean, yeah, it's
so.
got to be, right?
I think it is.
I think so.
Okay,
I think it is.
P-
I wasn't sure that got picked up.
PNG is such a hard place to play. Like they put 10,000 people in the stands every week, and like that's a town that like lights go out Friday night when they're home. So that's gonna be a hostile environment for Brenham to go to. Jake, we'll go with you.
All right, I was gonna let Andrew go. So kind of circles back to one of my sleepers. I'll go Anderson Shiro, New Diana. Once again, you know, Anderson Shiro 9-1. Feels weird to call him a sleeper, but hey, if they win this week, it's first win in school, playoff win in school history. I think they've been 6 or 7 times at this point now and haven't gone over the hump. So I mean, if you win this week, I mean, I kind of feel like the Band-Aid gets ripped off, and it's kind of just like, all right, let's just go out there and keep winning, see what happens. Get the first one, you're all good.
Andrew?
Gonna go a little under the radar, just me curious. Lexington and Bowling.
Ooh.
Lexington.
I like it.
Lexington's 7-3 this year, but they haven't beaten anyone above 500 yet. So this is really the first interesting test that I have, and I did some research on Bowling's defense, which outside of East Bernard and Tidenhaven, their defense has been really good. Those 2 games, that's how good the schools are. But Lexington and Bowling's my interesting one to see if Lexington can get over the hump and beat a team over 500.
All right. Well, hey, before we close it out, where are you guys going to be this week? I know our schedule's a little up in the air depending on volleyball, but where are you guys going to be?
You already know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be with the Franklin Lions in Waller. So if you want to follow along, I'll be there. You can follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
I was initially going to be there, but now I'll be at the Consol game hosting San Antonio Wagner. I was at as I mentioned, the CSTAC game for San Antonio Wagner. So excited to see what another College Station team can do against that school.
I'll be at College Station Bernie Champion on Friday, and TBD on Mr. Weiss.
Yeah, either Consol or Lady Cougar volleyball. So we'll see.
There you go. All right, guys. Any final thoughts on our playoff docket for the Brazos Valley?
I just hope we
hope everybody has fun.
Yeah, everybody has fun. I hope we get a little cooler weather so it actually feels like playoff football. We got the time change, so we're kicking off at night. That's great, but I always love this time of year.
That's a good word. Well, hey, we'll be back here in a bit. We got Greg Tepper from Dave Campbell's Texas Football giving us kind of a statewide look. He's got 3 teams from the Brazos Valley winning their regions. We'll hear why he picked some of those teams here in a minute. All right. We done.
All right.
Wow, cool.
Who'd he pick?
Jam-packed
Who'd he
episode.
pick?